looked at businesses, enterprises, partnerships with turnover of 1 billion naira and above. And to our surprise, we found out that close to 500 have not paid any taxes. We have close to 4,000 that have not paid the correct amount of taxes. So when you say expand the tax net is being expanded. It was actually expanded by over 800,000 corporate accounts in the last 18 months, but they're not doing the right thing. So I would like to appeal to you, before you give any contractual work, or before you engage with any business, with any other organization, ask them for the tax clearance. Check their tax status.
That was Mr. Babatunde Fowler, Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, addressing movers and shakers of the Nigerian economy operating under the aegis of the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association. The occasion was the interactive session jointly organized by NECA and the FIRS. Topic was Emerging Issues in Tax Administration in Nigeria, Role of the FIRS and Expectations from the Organized Private Sector. The forum was held on Tuesday, the 17th of July, 2018 at the NECA House in Lagos. The program is Tax Matters. My name is Pearl Nameka, and with me on the episode is
Chiamaka Ohaochi.
Every day, my people dey for work. Some dey do office work. Some get them own business. So all of them want good road, constant power for better life. Whether na office work, oh yeah, pay your tax. Whether na your own business, oh, pay your tax. If you want a better life, oh, pay your tax. Now your civic responsibility, pay your tax. Better soup, now money cook am. Oh yes. Nothing goes for nothing, my brother. If you want potable water, security and hospital for make life jolly.
That's right. Good roads, good hospitals, portable water, adequate security all come from taxpayers' money. Play your part in making Nigeria great. Everybody, small scale, big companies, entrepreneurs, do the right thing. Pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
Welcome once again. The Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, was the guest speaker at the occasion. He began with a story.
Let me tell you a little story. When we started the tax reform in Lagos, we had a number of the members of NECA write against the LIRS about the way we carried out tax practice. And eventually, with the permission of the complainants that we saw were non-compliant, we invited NECA to attend some of our meetings. And the DG himself came to attend some of these reconciliation meetings and found out that what we had presented, what we had done was correct. And at that point, he said he would not be part of anything that does not follow the law or anything that does not, or unbecoming of a member of NECA. And since then, we found out that with his cooperation and with us following the law, and also members following the law, we had a very successful tenure in Lagos. So I first of all like to thank the outgoing DG, Mr. Shinawa, for his role. And at the same time, I'd like to thank all members of NECA, because by the time I left, for what we call the organized private sector, we had a 98% compliance rate when it came to tax for Lagos State. But we have a slight problem now. Now at the federal level, the compliance rate has dropped. So you might have been very compliant with state taxes, but when it comes to federal taxes, there's some issues. I'm going to be talking about the role of FIRS, tax revenue collection trend between 2015 to 2017 and 2018, and then revenue generation challenges that we have, and initiatives that we have adopted to improve tax collection and our performance, and also what we expect from what we call the organized private sector. And in saying that, we do not take for granted the role that you play. It is not a very easy decision to put your resources, your investment in any economy and hope that you make profits. So I salute you for providing the seed, for providing employment opportunities to Nigerians and even expatriates, for helping us grow our economy, and I believe together we can make Nigeria great again. I'd also like to mention that the Federal Inland Revenue Service collects revenue for the whole country. Once a month, that money is shared between the federal, state, and local governments. Therefore, if we do not do well in any particular month, the state government or the local government may not have any funds. We still have a situation whereby over 90% of the states rely on what we generate at the center.
Mr. Fowler went on to give a scorecard of the tax collection performance of the FIRS in the recent past.
In 2017, we were able to generate a little over 4 trillion, which was an increase over the 3.3 trillion in 2016. So reviewing the performance for 2015 to 2017, the monies that are divided through the 3 tiers of government fall under what we call the federation account. In summary, between 2015 to 2017, we're able to generate about 7.7 trillion. And in terms of performance, in 2015, we generated 89.8% on the federation account. In 2016, 92%. And in 2017, 99.5% on the federation account. In terms of 2018, for the federation account, we were able to collect about 1.86 trillion in the first 6 months of the year, while for the other revenues, we were able to collect 1.36 trillion. And that basically did give some states some additional revenue to perform their duties.
Mr. Fowler took some time to talk about inflows into the VAT account and the problems posed by non-compliance by various sectors.
When we look at the other tax accounts, the main account under here is VAT, out of which 85% goes to the states. We have an extremely low level of compliance when it comes to VAT, meaning that some organizations charge VAT but do not remit it. Some do not even charge. And basically, we're asking for your support to make sure that for your services, you charge VAT, collect the VAT, and remit the VAT as when due. Now, if one looks at the VAT is the fastest growing tax in the world. We're still lagging behind. When it comes to compliance, we're still under 15% when it comes to compliance. In that once a month, you're expected to file returns from VAT and remit that VAT collected to government. So I'd like to call for your support.
Going back to the role of the FIRS.
Now, in terms of the role of FIRS again, basically we would like voluntary compliance. We try as much as possible not to bring out the big stick, to seal up companies, to use the law of what we call substitution on bank accounts. But we have very serious issues facing us right now. And we have to realize that you only pay tax when you make a profit. You only pay tax as an individual when you earn an income. If there's no profit, there's no tax. But you still have to file your returns. But we have got numerous numbers of organizations who claim to be involved in tax planning, and they present different records to the states and different records to the federal government FIRS. That is not tax planning, that is fraud. And when we look at what this money is expected to be used for, I believe, in simple words, it's cheating the economy and the society where you operate. We have currently just gone through the VATE process, and we'll be giving you the final outcome shortly. But a number of businesses did not take opportunity to come forward during that process. And we're currently investigating them. And you'll see a publication in the paper where we highlighted one or two things.
On the challenges facing the various tax authorities, Mr. Fowler spoke about the deployment of technology in addressing the situation.
In terms of the challenges, the number one is tax evasion, and some people call it avoidance, but it's more tax evasion. And let me talk a little bit about this and what we have done. We have launched 6 e-solutions. Now, one thing that this does is that it gives you the opportunity to download your receipts when you receive any payment. Meaning that once you have a tax ID and you have an email address and you inform your tax office of the authorized email address, once a payment is made on your tax ID, you get a notification, you get a link, and can download your receipts. You can confirm that receipts with your smartphone, and that's it. You don't need to come to a tax office. Some people might say, okay, how far back can we go? We've actually put in 6 years history, meaning that from 2012 to date, if there's any payment you like to cross-check, you can cross-check it. Also, when it comes to withholding tax, a lot of you have had problems in claiming your withholding tax. First of all, in terms of finding the certificate, now you can check it for the last 6 years, from 2012 to date. So some people had mentioned that if you have a withholding tax credit note that is 2-3 years old, you can't use it. You certainly can use it. It's your money and it's valid. You can also have it downloaded and you have history of all your payments. The other aspect is that some people who have withholding tax deducted and not remitted. With this system, within 45 days, you will know whether the organization that deducted your withholding tax has paid it on your account or not. In a situation where it has not been paid, if you inform us that you did a job, X amount was deducted as withholding tax, and that withholding tax is not sent to your credit within 45 days, of course, we'll take that up on your behalf. The same when it comes to stamp duties. You can pay all your stamp duties online, in your office, in your bedroom, wherever you want it. You don't have to come to an office. But for those who still want the manual approach, we have imported 100 modern stamp duty machines in every state. Prior to now, we only had 14 old machines in 14 locations, meaning in 14 states. That meant if you wanted to stamp your document, you might have to travel from one state to another. But now I'm glad to tell you that every state office has a stamp duty machine, and in some states you have up to 5. I know in Lagos we have at least 5 manual stamp duty machines. But like I said, you can also do this online. In terms of the cash-based business transactions that we have, we've also employed technology which can help you remit the VAT, the withholding tax online at no charge to you. We'll set up the systems, connect the systems for you, teach you how to use those systems so that even in your accounting process, you can actually use those systems to do other things if you like. We've also done the same for all the state governments. We gave them free computers, free software to remit taxes that are due to the federal government and also to remit taxes that are due to themselves. So we have made it extremely convenient for people to be compliant.
On the nationwide tax audit exercise, Mr. Fowler gave some useful hints.
We've also started a nationwide tax audit exercise. And in looking at this issue, we also looked at ourselves. We're not perfect. We still have some bad staff. But thank God we have more good staff than bad staff. And you'll find out that some staff will come and say they're doing an audit. Audit is coordinated and it will come with a formal letter. What staff are expected to do is to do what we call a monitoring exercise. So when they come to your office, they can ask for records for the current year. They cannot ask for records for 2 to 3 years prior to that period. And if you find any staff not acting as you expect, let me use those words, please feel free to report. We're here to serve you. We're here to serve the nation. We're not here to intimidate or make life difficult for taxpayers, because any business that closes down stops paying taxes. Any business that is frustrated will either close shop, move out, and basically the revenue flow stops. The revenue flow stops, government stops. Government stops, the nation stops. So in this business together. But our business is to keep you in business. And we do not spend the money, but the governments that we give the money to will provide that conducive environment to make sure that your business grows.
Tax administration with a human face. And talking about tax administration with a human face, listen to this.
Now, what have we done in terms of past sins? I'll call them past sins, where you did not pay your taxes. We waived interest and penalty up until 2015. For the small-scale businesses, we waived interest and penalty up until 2016. So there was no interest or just the principal amount. And we also introduced a system whereby you can actually pay instrumentally on those accounts. We've also brought the tax office closer to you. We've allowed you to choose where you want your file to be domiciled. But in doing that, we hope you will not look for a friendly tax administrator and now have your file moved to a place that is not as efficient as we would like.
London, New York or Lagos, business or holiday, home or office, you can now carry out your tax transactions from anywhere in the world. You can now file all your tax returns, pay online, get a receipt and even process your tax clearance certificate from anywhere in the world online and in real time. All you need to do is log on to www.firs.gov.ng and click on e-services and be introduced to the world of innovation, convenience and transparency from the FIRS. You can also pay stamp duty as you register a new company with the CAC, or for other transactions that require stamp duty payment online. You can also file your withholding tax returns and determine the withholding tax deducted from you is in government coffers so that you can get your receipt within 45 days as long as the deduction has been remitted. Yes, all of this and more online at www.firs.gov.ng/e-services. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC. Please note that all FIRS services are free of charge. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. It pays to pay your tax.
Welcome back. We are looking at emerging issues in tax administration in Nigeria and the role of the FIRS in all of that from the prism of the Executive Chairman FIRS, Mr. Babatunde Fowler. Mr. Fowler spoke about several issues, but at this juncture, we want to share with you the robust interaction that followed his presentation in the remaining time available to us on this episode.
The chairman of FIRS already has front-loaded questions which members sent through the secretariat. So he would also be doing a Q&A on those particular ones.
The area of withholding tax, which you mentioned, there's still something that we have been looking forward to up to now, and it's in the area of ensuring that we have refund. Withholding tax is money taken ahead of proving that you have liability. Refund arises from backlog over the years. If the liability does not arrive of filing, it should be reconciled and the payment should be available almost immediately. I want to say this, that there is a lot of money trapped in withholding tax certificates, running to trillions, and it's affecting the cash flow of a lot of companies.
The other time you were talking, you said you are for every state in the nation. So sometimes I visit the Oyo IRS like 3-4 months before I could retrieve tax certificate for our employees. So for instance, for this year, we just received for last year, 2015 to 2017, in May. Sometimes it could be as late as September. And I learned that we are doing e-solution, we are not supposed to be having hard copies. So I want to check, when is this going to come up in Ibadan or your state in general? And the second one, I have TIN card. Most of our employees in Ibadan plant have TIN card, but it is of no use because we cannot go online, use our TIN number to retrieve our e-receipt. So I want to ask, when is this going to be lively in Oyo State? Thank you.
Mr. Fowler responded.
The issue of tax refund on withholding tax in the same year. Yes, you can get it the same year. But once you key in for a request, it is processed within 60 days, meaning that the month that it comes in, it will be processed. The next month when the money is released, you most likely get your refund. Now, for that to work, it will mean that whoever has deducted withholding tax has to pay it in on your behalf. With this system, you will know if within 45 days, that organization that deducted your withholding tax has paid it in.
On the much talked about multiplicity of taxes.
If any company can show me that they have paid 50 taxes, I will give them a prize. It's not possible. So let's clearly separate user charges from taxes. In fact, I doubt if any company will even pay more than 15. And when I say 15, we're talking about the corporate tax, we're talking about the state corporate tax at FRS level, we're talking about the tax at the state level, and we're talking about local governments. And let me give you a little scenario. You're a limited liability company, you pay CIT. State, you pay payee on behalf of your staff. Local government, maybe you pay for parking. But those are the main taxes. But please, and I would like to repeat this once again, when we investigated, we found out that there were a lot of fraudulent demands being made. If you find out that any demand doesn't make sense, whether it's a state tax or a federal tax, just go into any FIS office, show it to the manager. He will guide you as to whether that is a correct tax or just a group of individuals who are trying to harass you. In a lot of cases, you'll find out that some local governments, I'm not trying to just badmouth local governments, but it happens a lot there, will just say they come to seal your premises. They don't have authority. Even at the state level, they cannot come and close your business without a court order. The only level of tax administration that is empowered to get your bank statement, close your business, is the FIRS. And we do not, I like to believe, we do not behave that way. Before we come to close your office, we'll have discussed with you for at least close to a year. And that's why I said we have even devised what we call a non-compliance sticker, to even warn you further that, listen, you're in non-compliance. Please do the right thing. When it comes to withholding tax and interpretation of sales in ordinary course of business, I'll try and explain it in a very simple way. If you go to a petrol station and you buy petrol or you buy diesel, they sell it to you in the ordinary course of business. You don't pay withholding tax, you don't pay VAT, nothing. But if you appoint a contractor to supply you diesel or to supply you petrol in your tank in your office, that becomes different. You are now paying, or you're withholding tax on the because you have given out a contract, and there's also VAT. So that is not in the ordinary course of doing business. But don't forget, the withholding tax deducted is still your money. That person who deducts your withholding tax is supposed to pay it on your account, and when you're filing your returns, it comes as a credit.
There was so much to talk about and so much to clarify, but we are afraid because of time constraints, we have to call it a day. This interactive session will continue in a subsequent episode. Do make sure you join us. Thank you for watching.
See you next week. Bye-bye.